12 things your dog can see and hear but you cannot. Dogs detect what humans miss. What if the world we perceive with our eyes and ears is only a small fraction of reality? In this journey, we step into the unseen universe that dogs quietly navigate every day, a realm of silent energies, forgotten instincts, and invisible symphonies flowing beneath human awareness. Through the eyes of our four-legged companions, we rediscover truths we once knew, that intuition is a language, that nature whispers before it roars. And that the deepest wisdom does not come from thinking, but from feeling. Join us as we explore how dogs sense the vibrations of life, predict unseen storms, read hidden emotions, and reconnect with the earth's silent rhythms. This is not just a lesson in perception, it is an invitation to awaken the dormant senses within ourselves and to reclaim the forgotten freedom that lies at the core of our being. Stay close. What you're about to feel could change how you live forever. Entering a sensory world humans have never touched. We are accustomed to living in a world where what we see and hear is the only truth. Yet, our loyal four-legged friends quietly prove that another world exists, a world filled with colors, sounds, and emotions that human senses have never touched. Dogs do not merely see or hear like we do. They feel vibrations in the air, shifts in the earth's magnetic field, the faint pulse of storms before they form. They read the subtlest movements in the human soul, even when we ourselves have yet to realize we are unwell. When observing how dogs interact with the world, we realize, the limitations we believe in may simply be walls built by our own minds. The narrower our perceptions become, the more we lose touch with a deep, natural essence within. Meanwhile, dogs live fully within every vibration of the earth and sky. Perhaps the world is not lacking in signals guiding us back to inner freedom. It is we who have forgotten how to listen. And these four-legged souls, in their own way, are reminding us. Reopen those forgotten senses, once again, touch the delicate flow of life. When invisible energy becomes nature's message. Not all existence can be seen by the naked eye. While humans busy themselves with the visible world, beings like dogs silently connect with the underground currents flowing through all life. These are subtle vibrations, delicate changes in the air. The invisible beats of emotions, imperceptible to ordinary senses. Dogs do not merely see the world through their eyes, they feel it with their entire being. A slight shift in a person's mood, a subtle disturbance in a room's atmosphere, a strange piece of energy drifting among worn-out walls, everything becomes a vibrant signal to them. When a dog suddenly appears uneasy or stares intently into empty space, they are not reacting randomly. They are reading the silent symphony the world is playing. This sensitivity is not magic. It is a reminder that the world is far broader than what human reason can explain. In modern life, we have lost much of that natural sensitivity. We imprison ourselves within clear signals, measurable standards, framed concepts. Yet when a dog senses the unrest within us before we are even aware of it, perhaps it is an invitation to pause and listen more deeply to the subtle tremors within ourselves. By learning to sense the world like dogs, we not only expand our senses but also gradually reconnect with our forgotten primal essence. Their inner strength is awakened. There, we learn that the most important mastery is not over the external world, but over the energy flowing within us. Silent souls, the door of perception opens with dogs. In the human visible world, what lies beyond sight is often overlooked. But for dogs, the boundary between the visible and the invisible almost does not exist. They are sensitive not only to sounds and smells but also to subtle signs from entities imperceptible to human senses. Have you ever seen a dog suddenly bark at empty space, or stare intently at a void as if conversing with something unseen? With their primal instincts, they can perceive strange vibrations, lingering fragments of energy, faint traces of life that has moved on. This does not compel us to believe blindly in the mystical. But it reminds us that the world is vastly larger than the confines of reason. By accepting the existence of what cannot be measured, We learn a precious lesson in humility. Human understanding always has limits, and there are forms of life we can only feel with our hearts. Looking at dogs, we see not only loyalty but also the ability to connect with deeper layers of existence, a sensitivity we, in our journey of growing up and forgetting, have lost. But perhaps, by listening to the world with inner silence, we can reopen that door, the door leading us back to the part of our soul still asleep. Mysterious signals the body reveals before we realize. Humans often believe that illness only becomes apparent when clear pain emerges, when lab results speak out. But for dogs, changes within the human body are sensed much earlier, sometimes from the subtlest signs that we ourselves are unaware of. A different breath, a slight change in the scent of the skin, a vague fluctuation in biological rhythms, all become signals for the dog's keen nose. They need no modern equipment, no words, to know something is wrong within their human companion. There are strange yet true stories where a dog detected cancer from a person's breath, sensed a change in blood sugar just by licking a hand, or sat beside someone about to have a seizure as a silent warning. These abilities are not miracles. They are reminders. The body is always speaking to us. We have simply become accustomed to ignoring its quiet voice. Learning to listen to our bodies, to notice even the smallest changes, is not merely an act of self-care. It is a journey back to natural sensitivity, where body and mind no longer oppose each other but instead harmonize into a deep symphony of life. Earth's energy field, the silent map in dogs' minds. The Earth does not merely spin on its axis. Around us, a magnetic energy field wraps and sustains the fragile balance of life. Modern humans, absorbed in technology and reason, have almost forgotten the presence of that energy. But for dogs, Earth's magnetic field is not an abstract concept, it is a living compass guiding every step. Many studies show that dogs can perceive subtle shifts in the magnetic field. This ability helps them orient themselves and find their way home even when lost in unfamiliar places. Without maps, without compasses, simply by silently listening to the invisible oscillations in space. This is not merely a survival skill. It is also a delicate reminder to humans that our innate compass is not only external but lies within our very souls. When we feel lost amid life's chaos, perhaps it is not because the world is too messy, but because we have forgotten how to listen to our own inner magnetic field, forgotten the silent call of our deepest being. Dogs do not seek certainty through reasoning. They feel, trust, and move forward. Likewise, humans can only truly reclaim their inner strength by learning to be silent, to feel, and to walk according to the voice of intuition, transcending the invisible fears that the modern world inadvertently instills. When nature speaks, the instinct to foresee change. Before the storm sweeps across the sky, before the ground trembles in an earthquake, there are beings who can sense nature's silent call. Dogs, with their keen senses and souls attuned to the earth and sky, seem always to know of these changes, not through reason, but through primal instinct. Time and again, people have witnessed dogs suddenly become restless, seek shelter, or bark without reason before earthquakes or storms that have yet to appear on any weather map. They need no seismographs, no satellite warnings. They simply listen to the faintest tremors within the earth, the shifts in the electrical field of the air, signals so delicate that human senses, dulled by time, no longer perceive them. The modern world teaches us to believe that all disasters strike suddenly and chaotically. But when we observe the calm vigilance of dogs, we realize nature always speaks before it acts. The question is, who is still listening? Perhaps in our own lives, the inner upheavals, the turning points of fate, have sent us subtle signals too. But amidst the noise of reason and expectations, we missed them. Learning from dogs, we learn to sense the earthquakes within before they become raging storms, so that we not only survive but prepare, adapt, and grow with every change. Reading the heart, the silent art of loyal eyes. Humans can hide sadness behind a smile, mask anxiety with busy actions. But to dogs, these layers of disguise are almost meaningless. They do not need words to sense a heart breaking. They do not need to see tears to understand that someone needs to be touched. A slight shift in breathing, a hesitant lowering of the head, a fleeting tension in the facial muscles, all become clear signals to the keen eyes of our four-legged companions. When we think we are hiding well, somewhere, those loyal eyes have already seen through, and, in their unique way, quietly move closer, resting a head on a knee, or simply sitting silently beside us, offering their presence without a word. This ability does not come from logical analysis but from pure empathy, a gift that humans, in their frantic lives, are gradually losing. We often hear, but do not truly listen. See, but do not truly observe. Understand, but do not truly feel. Watching dogs, we relearn the art of hearing the unspoken. And from there, we reconnect with our own primal intuition, where we need not explain everything but simply feel and connect with sincerity. This is the foundation of the deepest understanding, not through arguments, not through reasoning, but through a loving and silent presence. Hidden emotions, when dogs touch thoughts not yet formed. Not all dangers are visible on the surface. Sometimes threats arise from feelings not yet spoken, from emotions still hidden within the human mind. And dogs, with a strange instinct, can sense these signals even before we ourselves are aware of them. A stranger enters the room, smiling politely but with a stiff body, interrupted breathing, an insincere gaze. People around may not notice the difference. But a dog will stand protectively in front of you, growl softly, or quietly watch every move. For them, even the faintest signal, a ripple of tension in the aura, a slight disturbance in the energy, is already crystal clear. Dogs do not judge. They do not speculate. They simply feel. And from that feeling, they react, to protect, to warn, or simply to remind us, appearances do not always reflect truth. In life, if we could learn even a part of this ability from dogs, to listen to energy, to read the unspoken, we would be less naive about glittering surfaces, less wounded by invisible daggers. More importantly, we would learn how to adjust our own energy, knowing when to open our hearts, and when to hold back a silent space for ourselves. Safety does not come from controlling the outer world. It begins with the ability to recognize and navigate the emotional currents silently flowing around us. Faint signs, the survival instinct before climate shifts. Before dark clouds gather, before the wind stirs into chaos, before the earth shudders under torrential rains. Silent beings like dogs already sense the approaching change. A slight restlessness in movement, a pensive gaze toward the horizon. An inexplicable unease in everyday behavior, these signs are often overlooked by humans. But for dogs, the changing scent in the air, the pressure shifts. The subtle electric currents in the sky are loud and clear calls to prepare. They do not wait for warnings. They do not need news reports. Their survival instinct is based on listening to the faintest signals from the world around them. A complete trust in the flow of nature. An intuition unchoked by reason. Meanwhile, modern humans increasingly separate themselves from these natural rhythms. We are used to waiting for notifications. Used to reacting only when change becomes visible. But if we relearn how to live with that sensitivity, we will not only survive, we will prepare, adapt, and grow from even the smallest movements of life. Sensing change is not about fear or control. It is about understanding, in any storm. Those who catch the first signals have a chance to find peace within themselves, even when the outside world is in turmoil. The final gaze, when death whispers to loyal souls. There are strange moments that science cannot fully explain. When a person quietly approaches the final threshold of life. Those loyal four-legged beings often sense it before any visible signs appear. A dog may suddenly become more attached, clinging closely, gazing at their human with a contemplative look. As if trying to imprint every final moment. They do not panic. They do not turn away. They simply remain, present in a silence full of tenderness, as if they have heard a farewell song echoing deep within invisible waves. Dogs are not afraid of death. They feel it as part of the natural flow, like a moon changing color, like a wind shifting direction. And by accepting that transition, they teach us the first and final lesson of true maturity, learning to be present for others, not to change fate, but to share the final light of life fully. In human society, we often face death with fear or denial. But looking into the calm eyes and silent patience of dogs, we are reminded. Death is not an absolute end but a transformation, a bend in the infinite journey of the soul. Understanding this, we humans can learn to live more deeply in each moment we still hold. Because every gaze, every touch, every shared embrace might be a farewell we never realize in time. The invisible melody, the ultrasonic symphony for keen ears. In a world where human ears can only perceive a limited range of sounds, dogs quietly cross that threshold, opening a vast auditory landscape beyond our ordinary senses. A world where every movement, every subtle disturbance, hums a silent symphony only special ears can catch. Ultrasounds, frequencies beyond 20,000 Hz, resonate from the delicate wings of insects, from seemingly inert electronic devices, from secret communications in the natural world. For dogs, this is not silence. It is a hidden symphony, a living dialogue we overlook when we limit ourselves to what can be measured. The strange reactions of dogs to empty spaces, to places where no human ear can hear a sound, are not random. They hear the invisible signals, the whispers that humans have long lost the ability to perceive. The existence of this ultrasonic world reminds us of the limits of our perception. It is not that the world lacks wonders, but that we have narrowed our ability to receive them within fixed patterns. We only hear, see, and believe what fits within our limited field of view. But if we could learn even one small lesson from dogs, believe that invisible currents flow around us, and open our minds to what has not yet been proven. For it is often within those silent, dark spaces that the miracles of life continue to whisper. Light the human eye cannot see, the hidden secret behind every step. We grow up believing we see the world as it truly is. Yet in the eyes of dogs, that world expands into a dimension humans have never known, a layer of sparkling light beyond human vision, where ultraviolet rays silently sketch stories onto all things. Dogs do not merely see what we see. They perceive faint traces left behind by life's touches, the glistening of moisture, invisible footprints, silent reflections on leaves and stones. For them, every step carries a message, every moment is a canvas shifting under a secret light that humans have long forgotten. This ability is not merely a biological gift. It is a reminder that the boundaries we believe in may just be temporary veils, concealing a far vaster universe waiting to be discovered. And perhaps those limits exist within our minds too. When we only trust what we can see and hear, we shrink our capacity to receive life's miracles. Looking at the world through a dog's eyes invites us to ask, how many wonders are happening around us right now? Forgotten simply because we have not yet learned how to see. That unseen light exists not only out there but also within us, the silent light of awareness, of faith, of the yearning to transcend the cages we have placed around our lives. Intuition, humanity's forgotten asset. There is a kind of knowledge that does not come from books, requires no proof, and demands no elaborate explanation. It is intuition, the faint yet powerful whisper from within, once the primal compass that guided humans through the vast, uncertain world. Today, amid modern technology and the overload of information, intuition is often neglected, even forgotten. We are taught to analyze, to argue, to prove, but we forget how to feel. To trust the primal sensitivity that once helped our ancestors survive history's upheavals. Dogs do not engage in complex reasoning. They simply sense, listening to the silent signals of the environment. The subtle shifts in human emotions, and act accordingly. They trust their intuition, without hesitation, without justification. Perhaps the greatest lesson these beings offer us is this. Remember that every human being has an inner voice. A feeling when entering a room that something is off. A vague instinct at a crucial crossroads. A silent pull when faced with a life-altering decision. Intuition is not some mystical force. It is a dormant instinct within us, waiting to be awakened. When we learn to trust our intuition, we reclaim not only the ability to navigate a chaotic life but also tap into a resilient inner strength, where reason and emotion no longer conflict but harmonize into the deepest wisdom. Living by pure instinct, the journey of inner healing. Amid a world of imposed expectations and ever-changing standards, humans have gradually forgotten how to live true to their natural rhythms. We learn to force ourselves into molds, to hide our emotions, to shape ourselves according to foreign standards, losing touch with the primal voice deep within. But in dogs, we see the complete opposite, a life fully lived in every moment. Simple joy without reason, sorrow expressed without concealment. They do not strive to be someone else. They simply are, living, feeling, and loving with their entire being. The journey of healing is not a strenuous search outside ourselves. It begins with a return to living truthfully, feeling authentically. Healing happens when we allow ourselves to grieve without judgment, to rejoice without regret, to err without self-condemnation. Healing is when we dare to believe that the pure being inside us has always been enough, no matter how the outer world may spin. Living by pure instinct does not mean abandoning reason, but balancing it with emotion. It means listening to the subtle signals from the body, the heart, and the soul, just as dogs listen to the world with their whole presence. When we are brave enough to live truthfully, old wounds begin to heal. And from the place that once seemed most fragile, a new inner strength will quietly arise, stronger than any artificial armor we have ever worn. Lessons from silence, building inner strength and self-control. In the noise of modern life, silence has become a luxury. We are used to reacting immediately to every stimulus, used to seeking validation from the outside world, forgetting that true strength is not born from noise but forged in silence. Looking at dogs, we see a silent lesson. They are not loud in every situation. When facing change, danger, or pain, they sometimes simply sit quietly, observe, feel, and wait for the right moment. This ability is not just a survival instinct. It is inner strength, a deep trust that action is not always the answer. Sometimes, merely by patiently listening and understanding before reacting, we protect ourselves from rash mistakes. Building inner strength does not mean becoming hard. It means knowing when to move, when to stop, and when to simply stand still and let the storms pass. True self-control does not come from suppressing emotions but from understanding them and mastering how we choose to respond to life. Amid the urgent calls of modern life, learning to be silent, to listen within, is how we rediscover our deepest strength. Reconnecting with nature, finding true meaning in life. Modern humanity takes pride in conquering the world, yet in the process, we sever the bond with nature, the deep source of life itself. As we drift away from the rhythms of the earth and sky, we also drift away from ourselves. Dogs, in their pure honesty with nature, remind us that living is not merely existing, but harmonizing with the silent currents of life. Not resisting, not forcing, simply feeling, responding, and growing from them. True meaning in life is not found in distant pursuits. It is present in each slow breath, each silent moment. Each time we dare to let go of control and touch the raw beauty calling from deep within. Reconnecting with nature also means reconnecting with the part of ourselves that knows how to love, how to ache, how to live without needing to prove anything. And perhaps, in that simplicity, we will truly find ourselves again. The journey back to what was forgotten. The world that dogs perceive reminds us that there are wonders that cannot be measured, subtle vibrations that truly exist, and connections deeper than any language can express. Through their primal intuition, through their way of listening to the world with their whole hearts, they show us another way to live, simpler, truer, and more resilient. We do not need to search far for miracles. We simply need to learn to live again with our most natural selves, to feel more, listen deeper, and be more fully present. It is within these small, quiet moments that inner strength will grow, emotions will heal, and the true meaning of life will gradually take form. This journey is not a race. It is a return to the self that was once completely connected to the earth, the sky, and every silent heartbeat of life. And perhaps, just like our four-legged companions, when we learn to live with a pure heart and open eyes, we will rediscover the most enduring freedom, the freedom that comes from within.